Hello all, welcome to the new video lecture on topic definition and classification of carbohydrates. This topic is the part of T.Y.B.Sc. Zoology Semester 3 Paper 3 Curriculum of Savitribai Phule Pune University Pune. Today we are beginning with new chapter. The name of chapter is carbohydrates. This chapter is containing three topics. First is definition and classification of carbohydrate. Second is isomerism in carbohydrates. And third is stereochemical properties, biological and chemical significance of carbohydrates. We'll begin definition and classification of carbohydrate first. Carbohydrates are the most abundant organic molecule in the nature. Organic means the molecule involved in living system. Organic molecules are primarily composed of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen and oxygen. Carbohydrates are primarily composed of the three elements: carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. The literal meaning of carbohydrate is they are hydrates of carbon, means the carbon containing hydrogen. The empirical formula of carbohydrate is CH2ON. This N is maybe equal to 3 or it is greater than 3. There are several non-carbohydrate compounds which also appear as hydrates of carbon. Say for example acetic acid, whose chemical formula is C2H4O2, means here the N is 2. Hence it's also follows as the empirical formula CH2ON. But acetic acid is an acid in nature, it's not carbohydrate. Similarly, lactic acid, its chemical formula is C3H6O3, where N is equal to 3. Lactic acid is also acid, it's not a carbohydrate. Carbohydrates cannot be always considered as hydrates of carbon. Say for example rhamnohexose, whose chemical formula is C6H12O5. Here N is equal to 6, but it's not following the empirical formula, that is CH2ON, because if they are following this empirical formula, the chemical formula of rhamnohexose is supposed to be C6H12O6. The another example is deoxyribose. The chemical formula of deoxyribose is C5H10O. Carbohydrates participate in a wide range of functions. They are the most abundant dietary source of energy. The 1 gram consumption of carbohydrate may produce 4 calories of energy. They are the precursors for many organic compounds. The fats and amino acid are one of them. Some amount of fats and amino acid in some physiological condition also synthesize from the glucose. Carbohydrates such as glycoproteins and glycolipids also participate in structure of cell membrane. They are also involved in cellular functions such as cell growth, adhesion and fertilization. Carbohydrates are also involved in structural component of many organisms. These include plant fibers and exoskeleton of some insect. The plant fibers are made up of cellulose, whereas the exoskeleton of some insect is made up of chitin. Chitin is nothing but it's a polysaccharide. Hence, carbohydrates are also involved in a structural component of organisms. Carbohydrates are also serve as the storage form of energy. The more availability of glucose into the circulatory system is get converted into the glycogen. This glycogen is get stored into the adipose tissue and the liver. Glycogen act as a stored energy source and it will be available when the body required more amount of energy. The next point is definition of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates can be defined as they are the polyhydroxyaldehydes or polyhydroxyketones or the compound which produce after the hydrolysis of polyhydroxyaldehydes and ketones. Poly means many, hydroxy means containing OH group. Example of polyhydroxyaldehyde is glucose. Here this is the aldehyde group containing polyhydroxy groups. Similarly, the example of polyhydroxyketone is fructose, where this is the ketone group attached to the polyhydroxy chain. The term sugar is applied to the carbohydrate soluble in water. Also, this term is applied to the carbohydrate which is sweet to taste. Simply, carbohydrates are nothing but they are the aldehyde and ketone containing polyhydroxy chains. The last topic of today's lecture is classification of carbohydrates. The carbohydrates are often referred to as the saccharides. Saccharides, it's a Greek word which meaning is sugar. Carbohydrates are broadly classified into three major groups: monosaccharide, oligosaccharide and polysaccharides. Monosaccharides are defined as they are the polyhydroxyaldehyde or polyhydroxyketone which cannot further hydrolyze into a simple unit. Here mono means one, saccharides means sugar. A one sugar means which cannot further divide or hydrolyze into a simple unit. Monosaccharides are sweet in taste, they are crystalline and they are soluble in water. One of the important characteristic of monosaccharide is they are reducing in nature. Monosaccharide on the basis of presence of functional group aldehyde or ketone, they are differentiated into aldoses and ketoses. Aldoses means a monosaccharide having aldehyde group. Example is glucose, whereas Ketosis. Ketosis means a monosaccharide containing ketone group. Example is fructose. On the basis of number of carbon atom, monosaccharide is further differentiated or classified into 5 groups. First is trioses, next is tetroses, next is pentoses, next is hexoses, and last is heptoses. Trioses means, tri-sugar means a monosaccharide containing 3 carbon atom, means its chemical formula will be C3H6O3. Example is glyceraldehyde. Next is tetrose sugar. Tetrose sugar means a monosaccharide containing 4 carbon atom. Example is erythrose. Hence, chemical formula of erythrose is C4H8O4. Next sugar is hexose sugar. Hexose sugar means a monosaccharide containing 6 carbon atom, means its chemical formula is C6H12O6. Example is glucose, fructose, galactose or mannose. Next type of sugar is heptoses. Heptoses means monosaccharide containing 7 carbon atom. Hence, its chemical formula is C7H14O7. Example is pseudoheptanose. One of the important characteristic of monosaccharide is some monosaccharide may also present in open chain as well as in ring form in the nature. Examples are ribose, glucose, fructose, etc. When the ring structure contains 5 members, then it is called furanous sugar, and when the ring structure contains 6 members, then it is called pyranose sugar. Here is the example of D-glucose containing straight chain as well as ring form. When the ring form contains 6 carbon, then it is called D-glucopyranose, whereas if the ring form of glucose contains 5 members, then it is called D-glucofuranose. The second group of carbohydrate is oligosaccharides. Again, oligo in Greek is few and saccharide means sugar. Oligosaccharides contain 2 to 10 monosaccharide molecules. They are the complex sugar made up of 2 to 10 monosaccharide unit. The 2 molecules of monosaccharides are joined together by glycosidic bond. On hydrolysis, oligosaccharide yield the monosaccharide unit, which are may be similar or they may be dissimilar. Like monosaccharide, oligosaccharides are also sweet in taste. They are crystalline in structure and they are soluble in water. Oligosaccharides are may be or may not be reducing. Depending upon the number of monosaccharide molecules which constitute the oligosaccharides are classified into disaccharide, trisaccharide, tetrasaccharide or pentasaccharide. Disaccharide means the oligosaccharide is made up of 2 monosaccharide. They are called disaccharide. Di means 2, saccharide means sugar, means 2 unit of monosaccharide. Example is sucrose. Sucrose is made up of glucose and fructose. Another example is maltose. Maltose is made up of glucose plus glucose. One more example of disaccharide is lactose. Lactose is made up of galactose and glucose. Next type of oligosaccharide is trisaccharide. Trisaccharide is made up of 3 units of monosaccharide. Example is raffinose. Raffinose is made up of galactose, glucose and fructose. Next type or next example of oligosaccharide is trisaccharides. The trisaccharide is tetrasaccharides. Tetrasaccharides are made up of 4 unit of monosaccharides. The last group of carbohydrate is polysaccharide. Polysaccharide consists of large number of monosaccharides. The units of monosaccharide may be varies from 10 to 1000. They may be branched or they may be arranged in unbranched form, means they may be arranged in a straight chain. On hydrolysis of polysaccharide, they may give or they may yield more than 10 monosaccharide unit. They are with high molecular weight, means the molecular weight of the polysaccharide may be up to the million. Polysaccharides are usually amorphous, they are tasteless, they are non-sugars and they are insoluble in water. On the basis of composition, polysaccharides are divided into 2 types, homoglycans or homopolysaccharides, and second is heteroglycans. Heteroglycans means heteropolysaccharides. Homo means same. Same means when the polysaccharide is made up of more than 10 similar unit of monosaccharide, then it's called homoglycan. Whereas if polysaccharide is made up of different unit of monosaccharide, then it is called heteroglycans. The example of homoglycan is glycogen. Glycogen is made up of similar unit of monosaccharide, means it's made up of a chain of glucose and it's called homoglycans. Whereas heteroglycan example is mucopolysaccharides. On the basis of application, polysaccharides are further classified into structural polysaccharide and storage polysaccharide. Structural means they act as a structural component of the living organism, and storage means they are stored as a reserved energy. The example of structural polysaccharide is cellulose or chitin, which act as a structural component of living organism. Cellulose is for plant, whereas chitin is for insects. Thank you. In next lecture, we'll see isomerism in carbohydrate.